Welcome to Programming for Kids with Scratch 2. I'm Mike Lehman, and thanks for joining me. This series of half-hour shows uses Scratch to introduce computer programming to kids, about 5th grade and up, and curious adults too. You'll learn all about programming in Scratch in this series. It covers loop blocks, repeat, repeat until and forever, decision blocks including if and if else, procedure blocks, variables, lists, messages, events, clones, even microphone and video webcam input. I'll create many programs including games, storytelling, drawing pictures, and programs that demonstrate important programming concepts including objects, threads, and polling. This series is all about doing and shows the creation of all working programs from start to finish. Scratch is a great first programming language and can have children very quickly creating and presenting stories and creating fun animations, all while learning valuable critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, and the fundamentals of programming without any of the confusing and detailed syntax. Scratch presents programming commands as single blocks that are easily snapped together to make programs with very little typing. Don't let the ease of Scratch fool you into thinking that there's little here. Scratch programs can do a lot of things. Very little math is needed to make fun programs, and I give the very few equations that I'll use in a handful of about 50 challenges. Scratch is free and freely available from the highly regarded university MIT. With your web browser, you can create, share, and save your Scratch programs if you want to. You can also look online at literally millions of shared Scratch programs, and if you like, you can join the Scratch community. You can just sit back and watch this show, or you can go to scratch.mit.edu, click on the Try It Out icon, and have fun learning how to program too. All of these video challenge lessons and more are available at my ProgrammingForKids.info website and at my ProgrammingForKids.info YouTube channel. The countdown timer at the bottom of the screen shows how long until a program is first run. This show number 1 has an overview of the different areas of the Scratch window, makes our first program, and shows the vector mode editor. I'll get started. This challenge will first work with basic parts of Scratch and programming, and will grow to more challenging topics, even including a little trigonometry. But don't worry, you'll see you don't need to know trigonometry or algebra to program. Instead, this series focuses on critical thinking and problem-solving skills, great skills for whatever your interests are. But first things first. In this introductory challenge, I'll give an overview of the different areas of the Scratch window, create a program, and run it. I'll look at the stage, the sprites list, the costumes area, the scripts area, and I'll get a little experience with some of the 10 palettes of command blocks, including looks, events, and motion. I'll look at backdrops, programming icons, and the main menu. I'll also create a program and change it. Don't worry about all these different areas. They'll all be explored in this and future challenges. Your Scratch window may look a little different than mine. The differences between web page and the offline editor are only an issue when saving work, as I'll show later. Now I'll look at each of these areas. The sprites are on the stage. The cat sprite does what my program tells it to do. The green start flag can start my program running, and the red stop sign stops my program when it's running. On the stage, my pointer's location is shown on the stage's lower right. Don't worry about the details of X and Y right now. Programmers, especially younger programmers, will be able to move the sprite around the stage with very little understanding of X and Y. I'll explore X and Y locations more in other challenges and one specifically about Cartesian coordinates. It's easy to move the sprite without worrying about its XY location. For example, I have the Move Steps command block and it's set for 10 steps right now. When I click on the block, the cat moved forward 10 steps and the X value is 10. I'll do it again. The cat moved another 10 and X is 20. I'll click on it one more time and the value is 30. I can turn the cat. I can turn it to its left counterclockwise. I'll do that a couple times. I can move some steps again. I'll click on Move Steps block. I moved 10 steps, but Scratch figured out what its new X and Y locations are. I don't have to worry about it. I can move steps again, run it, and again. I can turn the cat to the right. I'll click on it, And again. If I want to go back to the center of the stage, I can use the Go To command block. Going to X0, Y0 moves the sprite to the center of the stage, where the origin is. I'll click on it now, and the cat's back in the center of the stage. I also see that the cat's XY location is 0, 0 again. I'll look at costumes now. Costumes give sprites different looks, such as different body positions or different clothes or colors. The cat has two costumes, Costume 1 and Costume 2. I've been using the first costume. Here's the second costume. Notice that if I click on the costumes fast enough, it looks like the cat is hopping or skipping along. My program can select the different costumes. I'll go back to Scripts. On the Looks palette, I'll find the next costume command block. I can click on the block and select a different costume for the cat. I'll do it a few more times. Watch the cat change. Another area to look at is the sprites list. I could add another sprite to my program to be with the cat. If I click on Choose a Sprite from Library button, use the scroll bar, I can find a particular sprite I want and choose it. Since there are so many sprites, Scratch has grouped the sprites into different categories to make it easier to find them. I'm not going to add any new sprites at this time, so I'll close the window. I'll cancel. I'll use additional sprites and other challenges very soon. The Scripts palettes have many command blocks to use. There are 10 palettes, and each has a set of command blocks with the same color. For example, Motion has the blue blocks, and Pen has the green blocks. Also notice that some of these palettes have more blocks than can be shown on the screen. I can use the scroll bar to see the rest of the commands available. Looks has a scroll bar too. I'll make my first program now. I'll use the next costume command block I used before. Clicking on it changes the cat's costume. Click a couple times, but I want to make a program now. The command blocks can be drag and dropped into the script area. I can run the blocks from here. I'll click on it a couple times. Costume changes. I'll try a couple more commands. I'll get Say Hello for 2 seconds. I'll get Think for 2 seconds. I'll click on Say Hello. The cat displays hello for 2 seconds and it disappears. I'll click on Think. The cat displays for 2 seconds as a thought bubble and it disappears. Notice I didn't hear any sounds. That's because the sound blocks are in the sound palette. I'll play with these in a future challenge very soon. I'll go back to Looks. I've got my command blocks in the Scripts area. I've run them individually, but how do I run them all together? How can I tell Scratch to run the blocks all together? The command blocks have these notches and holes. If I click on a command block and drag it close enough, an area will highlight showing where the blocks can attach. I'll click down with the mouse button, hold the mouse button. As I move closer, it'll show where they'll attach. If I release the mouse button, they snap together. I don't have to hold the blocks real close together. If it's highlighted when I release the button, they'll snap together. Now I've got 3 blocks that are together. I'll add another next costume, attach it, highlight, release. It's attached. Now I have 4 blocks all together. I can click on these blocks to run it. When I click on it, the cat says hello for 2 seconds, next costume, think for 2 seconds, next costume, and finished. I'll do it again. Notice that the blocks are highlighted. I'll click on it. Highlight begins, the hello, the thinking, next costume, highlight's gone, it's finished running. I was talking earlier about trying to run commands from the start flag. I'll try it now. I'll click on the green flag. Nothing happened. Why is that? That's because I haven't told Scratch that when the green flag's clicked on, I want my commands to run. I'll go to Events. When the green flag's clicked, will it work now? I'll try it. I'll click on the green flag. Still nothing happened. Why is that? That's because the commands aren't attached to it. Clicking on the green flag runs the commands that are attached to this handler. I'll attach the command blocks and run it now. Click on the green flag. I get hello for 2 seconds. It's highlighted, thinking, finished. Earlier I mentioned that the red stop sign can stop a program. I'll try it. I'll start the program, click on the green flag, and I'll stop it. The program stopped running. It didn't get a chance to show for 2 seconds. Now I'll look at the helpful programming icons across the top. Duplicate, delete, grow, shrink, Block help. When I click on the duplicate icon, the pointer changes to a rubber stamp and copies what I click on. I'll duplicate my green flag handler. Now I have 2 copies. When I click on the delete icon, the pointer changes to a pair of scissors and I can delete what I've clicked on. I'll delete this extra handler. It's gone. I can also use the pop-up menus with a right click, duplicate or delete. I'll duplicate, move the blocks. I've copied the block set. If I right click and select delete from the top, it deletes the block set. If I duplicate or delete from somewhere inside the block set, then all the blocks are selected from the end up to where I started. Another way to delete a block set is to drag and drop it onto the palette area. They're deleted. I have the grow and shrink icons. I'll try grow. The cursor changes to arrows pointing outward. Now as long as I click on a sprite, it gets larger and larger and larger. When I use the shrink icon, I get arrows pointing inward. As long as I keep clicking on the same sprite, the sprite will shrink and shrink and shrink. If I want the sprite back to its normal size, I can use the Set Size command block. I'll go to Looks, Set Size, bring it into the scripts area. It's currently at 40%. I'll click on the 40 and type in 100 for 100. Now I'll click on the block, and the cat's returned to its normal size of 100. I'll get rid of the block. I'll look at the last icon, Block Help. If I click on Block Help, cursor changes to a question mark. Then if I click on a command block, say Set Size, the help tip appears. It describes the command block, shows an example or examples, and gives extra information about the command. For this one, it's showing set size of 50% is half its size, 200% is twice its normal size, and 100 is its normal size. I'll close the help window, and I'm back to my normal scripts area. I'll continue the overview of the Scratch window. The stage is a pretty boring plain white right now. I'll go to the backdrop area and select Choose Backdrop from Library. Click on it. I can use the scroll bar to scroll through the different backdrops that are available. I'll select Stage 1. OK. I could make changes to the backdrop with Scratch's graphics editor, but I'll use it as it is. Costume 2 is currently selected. Good. It looks like the cat's floating above the stage. I'll bring the cat down onto the stage. I'll go back to my program, Scripts. When I run this program, it doesn't appear theatrical enough. I'll change the program. I'll have the cat ask the question, what's my favorite color? I'll change the 2 seconds to 5, click on the 2, press 5. Next costume is fine. I want to change the think. I want to use another say, break these apart, get rid of think, bring in the new say. I'll reattach the next costume. The cat's answer, click on it, should be purple. Of course. I'll change the 2 to a 3. And the program's ready to run. I'll click on the green flag. The commands are running. What's my favorite color for 5 seconds? Costume will change. Purple. Costume changes back, and it's finished. I can change the cat's color with Change Color Effect. The color effect goes from 0 to 200. I'll make the changes smaller. Click on it. Change 25 to 10. I'll watch the cat's color change as I click on the block. Click on it 1, 2, 3, colors changing, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, well, 14's purple, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and the cat's back to its normal color. Now that I see how the color effect changes, I can use Set Color Effect. I was changing it by 10 and I clicked on it 14 times. 10 times 14 is 140. I'll change this to 140. I'll run it now. The cat's purple. Good enough. I'll get rid of Change Color Effect. And I'll attach Set Color Effect, but where should I attach it? I'll try before the last costume change in the block set. Pick it up, drag it, highlight, in between, drop it in. Now I'll run the program. I'll click on the green flag. What's my favorite color? Purple. Now it's purple. Maybe it'd be better to change the color before saying purple. Break the blocks out. Move the set before the say. Reattach next costume. Now I'm back to my complete program. I'll run again. What's my favorite color? Purple. And the cat's purple. That looks right. I'll finish this introduction with the main menu bar. In Edit, I have Undelete, Small Stage Layout, and Turbo Mode. Turbo Mode runs the program faster. I don't need it now, so I'll skip it. I can try Undelete. Undelete returns the last block or block set that was deleted. It returned the change color effect that I last deleted. If I try to undelete again, I can't. Only the last delete can be returned. I said block set. I'll attach a couple blocks to this, a say and a think. Delete the block set. Go back to undelete. I've got my block set back. Undelete can be very handy, but remember it's only the last block or block set that was deleted. I'll get rid of this. The last edit menu entry to try is Small Stage Layout. I'll select it. The stage is smaller. With the larger script area, I can make larger programs more easily. This can be handy. I'll restore the stage area size, back to Edit. Click on Small Stage Layout again, back to the regular size. Notice that this left pointing triangle shrinks the stage too, and the right pointing triangle restores it. Now the last pull-down menu where I can save and restore projects. I'm using the offline editor, not the web browser. I'll show the web browser version in a little bit. I'll use Save As to save on my computer. Go to my Scratch folder, select the input area, and I'll enter Introduction. Good. Save. It's saved, so I can start a new project now. File, New Project. I could start a new project, or if I like, I could go back to my saved project. File, Open, Scratch, Introduction. Double clicks. It's now restored my saved project, Introduction. And I have my original program back. Now I'll save a project with the web browser. I have an untitled project in Scratch. I've already logged on to the Scratch website. Scratch accounts are free and projects can be saved for free there. I want something to save. I'll get a move in a couple turns. And I'll add when the green flag is clicked on. Looks like a little program now. I'll give it a title instead of untitled. I'll call it Introduction. Use File, Save Now. Save Now is the same as the Save Now button on the right. I'll click on it. The project's been saved, and Save Now's changed to Saved. I can look at my saved Scratch projects, go to the folder. In My Stuff, I have one project that's been saved on the Scratch website. I could go back to change the project, or I can look at information about the project. I'll click here to see information about the project. Project's title, I could add instructions, some notes and credits. It's unshared right now, and if I wanted to, I could use this button to edit the project. I can share the project with others if I want to. I'll click on Share. Now the project's shared with users in the Scratch community. They can now see and copy my shared project. They can make changes to their copies, but they can't change my project. Anytime I want, I can stop sharing the project. I'll go to the Scratch folder, and I'll select Unshare. Now the project's private again. From My Stuff, I can select whatever project I want to edit. I have only one right now. I'll use See Inside to go to the editor. I could make more changes to this project. Go to Looks. Could add a think for number 2. If I save this now, it's saved as introduction. I've lost my original version. Go back to the projects. I still have introduction. It's the latest one. If I want to make a bunch of changes, go to Looks, add a couple things, and I want to save this as a different project, I can use File, Save as a Copy. Now I have Introduction Copy as my project title. Go to my list of projects. I have Introduction and Introduction Copy. Introduction is the original with only the Think number 2 attached. Introduction Copy is the newer version. It has the additional things. Changing the name here doesn't make another copy, it only changes the name. I clicked outside to make sure the change was made. Go back to my list. I have Introduction and Introduction 2 now. I'll go back inside Introduction 2. And finally, a couple warnings. First, I find the performance with the web browser can be a little slow or unpredictable at times, especially if I'm having network problems. Also, remember that when projects are saved with the web browser, they're saved on the Scratch website, not on your computer. I'm finished with this challenge. I encourage you to play with the example and get familiar with the Scratch window, with creating programs, and with saving programs. Try changing the program. Try some of the other command blocks. Try Say or Think without any time limits. Try the Set Size command, or try the Switch Costume command. Remember that Block Help is available for all these commands. It gives a description, an animated example, and some additional information. But above all, have fun with the challenge. In this challenge, I'll introduce the basics of working with the Vector Mode Editor. Sprite costumes and backdrop images can be edited and created in bitmap and vector modes. I favor using vector mode over bitmap mode to have smoother, cleaner looking images, especially if resizing them, but I'll use a bitmap image if I need to draw better or if vector images run too slowly, which rarely happens and won't be an issue for now. I'll look at the cat's costumes. The cat's costume is in vector mode already, as it shows in the lower right. To see the difference in images between vector mode and bitmap mode, I'll copy the second costume and convert it to bitmap mode. I'll click on the Duplicate Stamper and duplicate the second costume. The third costume is selected. I'll convert it to bitmap mode. I'll zoom in. I can see the sprite has jagged edges. They're pixelated now. Go back to vector mode and the edges are smooth. Jagged bitmap, smooth vector. Vector images can be smoother. I'll delete the third costume, right-click, delete, and go back to regular magnification. I'll paint a new costume and convert it to vector mode. I'll make a railroad crossing warning sign. I'll click on Ellipse. Shift for a circle I'll use. I'll make the line wider. Slide it over, good thick line. Press the Shift key down. Make a circle. Move it up. Make it a little smaller. Move again. I'll fill it with yellow. Select yellow. Use the fill. Color it. Want to draw some black lines. Select black. Select line. Click and release. Click and release. I don't like that line. I'll undo it. I'll click revert. And try again. Good enough. I want the R's. Click on T for text. Put a capital R in there. Click outside. I can resize it, make the R larger, move it into position. The R is highlighted still. I can duplicate it. Put the copy over. Move it down a little tiny bit. I want to make a signpost, rectangle. Make it gray. And I'll fill it. Fill. I want the pole behind the sign. Click on the Select button. Select the rectangle. I'll even move it over a little bit. Each item I've created so far is another layer on this image. The pole's highlighted. I can move it forward. It already is. I can move it back. I'll use the Shift key, hold the Shift key down, click. Now the pole's in the back layer of the image. I'll show the Reshape button, click on Reshape, select an item. Now I can change how the item looks, grab these points and move them around. I can click on Select. I can move the rectangle up for the new sign. I can draw. I'll select Pencil, choose orange, and make a silly pumpkin in the middle. Fill it. Use the pencil again with green. Make a little stem. If I decide I don't need to warn pumpkins about railroad crossings and I want my original railroad crossing sign back, I can use the Revert button. I'll click on it. Each click will undo the last thing I did to the image. The stem is gone, the fill is gone, the pumpkin's gone, the post is moved back, bottom of the circle's fixed, and the top of the circle's fixed. As long as I don't edit anything now, I can still get back my changes with Redo. I can bend the circle again, move the post, and 3 more clicks, get my pumpkin back. Editing a vector image is different from editing a bitmap image. Each time I draw something on a vector image, I add a different item to the image. As you've seen, I can select individual items in the image. Click on Select. I can click on the pumpkin. I can also delete the pumpkin. I'll press the Delete key on the keyboard, and the pumpkin's gone. I can get rid of the stem, select it, delete, and the pole. Select it, delete. Deletes can be undone too. I'm finished with this challenge. I encourage you to play with the Vector Mode Editor and get comfortable using its basic commands. The buttons on the right, the color selection, and undo and redo. Try creating a Vector Mode costume or a backdrop. Experiment with it and let your creative side have fun drawing whatever you like. I'm glad you could join me. You can review these and all of my challenges at my ProgrammingForKids.info website and on my ProgrammingForKids.info YouTube channel. I encourage you to try the things you've just learned and explore the extra challenges I've suggested. I hope you can join me for the other shows. Until next time, have fun being creative.